The world watched with bated breath as news broke of a letter penned by US President Donald Trump to Iran's Supreme Leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. The letter, dated March 7, 2025, called for the initiation of fresh nuclear negotiations, aiming to curb Iran's nuclear ambitions and ease the simmering tensions in the Middle East. Trump, known for his unorthodox diplomatic style, expressed a desire to resolve the nuclear issue through dialogue, even hinting at the possibility of lifting crippling economic sanctions. However, the olive branch extended by Trump was swiftly swatted away by Khamenei. In a move that surprised few, the Supreme Leader categorically rejected the offer, denouncing the United States as a bullying power seeking to impose its will on Iran. Khamenei's rejection, delivered through a fiery speech on March 8, 2025, sent shockwaves through the international community, casting a long shadow over the prospects of a diplomatic solution to the Iranian nuclear issue. The Supreme Leader's refusal to engage with the U.S. stems from a deep-seated mistrust rooted in decades of animosity and broken promises. Khamenei, in his address, pointed to the U.S.'s withdrawal from the 2015 Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, commonly known as the Iran nuclear deal, as evidence of Washington's untrustworthiness. He argued that the U.S.'s about-turn on the JCPOA, orchestrated by Trump himself during his previous presidency, had severely undermined Iran's faith in any U.S.-led diplomatic initiative. Moreover, Khamenei vehemently rejected the notion of negotiating under duress, asserting that Iran would never bow to pressure tactics employed by the United States. The Supreme Leader's words were echoed by Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, who reiterated Iran's stance of refusing to engage in talks while subjected to the U.S.'s maximum pressure campaign. This policy, reinstated by Trump upon his return to the White House in January 2025, includes crippling economic sanctions aimed at crippling Iran's economy and forcing it to the negotiating table. The current impasse in U.S.-Iran relations is the latest chapter in a long and tumultuous saga marked by mistrust, animosity, and missed opportunities. The two nations have been at loggerheads since the 1979 Islamic Revolution in Iran, which ousted the U.S.-backed Shah and ushered in an era of Islamic rule. The hostage crisis that followed, where Iranian students held 52 American diplomats and citizens hostage for 444 days, further deepened the chasm between the two countries. Attempts to bridge this divide have been sporadic and largely unsuccessful. The 2015 JCPOA, negotiated under the Obama administration, offered a glimmer of hope, providing a framework for Iran to curb its nuclear program in exchange for sanctions relief. However, this landmark agreement was short-lived, with Trump unilaterally withdrawing the U.S. in 2018, much to the dismay of the international community. Trump's decision to renege on the JCPOA, widely seen as a foreign policy blunder, plunged U.S.-Iran relations into a downward spiral. The reinstatement of sanctions dealt a severe blow to Iran's economy, fueling resentment towards the U.S. and bolstering hardliners within the Iranian government. The situation further deteriorated with the assassination of Iranian General Qasem Soleimani in a U.S. drone strike in 2020, pushing the two countries to the brink of war. Against this backdrop of historical baggage and deep-seated mistrust, Trump's recent overture to Iran was always going to be a tough sell. The Supreme Leader's rejection, while not entirely unexpected, underscores the enormity of the challenge facing the Biden administration in its quest to revive diplomacy with Iran. The international community reacted with a mixture of disappointment and resignation to Khamenei's rejection of Trump's offer. European powers, which had labored tirelessly to salvage the JCPOA after the U.S. withdrawal, expressed regret over the missed opportunity for dialogue. The European Union's foreign policy chief, Josep Borrell, urged both sides to reconsider their positions and return to the negotiating table. Russia and China, both signatories to the JCPOA, also expressed disappointment over the impasse, echoing the EU's call for dialogue. However, both countries also placed blame on the United States for creating the current crisis by withdrawing from the nuclear deal. China, in particular, used the opportunity to criticize the U.S.'s maximum pressure campaign, calling it counterproductive and urging Washington to lift sanctions on Iran. Meanwhile, Israel, Iran's arch-nemesis in the region, welcomed Khamenei's rejection. with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reiterating his country's commitment to preventing Iran from acquiring nuclear weapons. Israel, widely believed to possess its own nuclear arsenal, has long viewed Iran's nuclear program as an existential threat and has repeatedly threatened to take unilateral military action against Iranian nuclear facilities. The reaction from within Iran was more mixed. While hardline media outlets, often seen as mouthpieces for the government, dismissed Trump's letter as a propaganda stunt, some reformist voices expressed cautious optimism, suggesting that the Supreme Leader's rejection did not necessarily slam the door shut on future negotiations. These voices argued that Khamenei's insistence on the lifting of sanctions as a precondition for talks could be interpreted as a starting point for negotiations. The rejection of Trump's overture has plunged U.S.-Iran relations into a state of uncertainty, raising fears of a renewed escalation in the region. With both sides digging in their heels, the prospects of a diplomatic solution to the Iranian nuclear issue appear increasingly dim. The Biden administration now faces the daunting task of finding a way out of the diplomatic quagmire, with few good options at its disposal. One potential path forward could involve a step-by-step approach, with both sides taking incremental steps to rebuild trust and create conditions conducive to negotiations. This could involve the U.S. offering limited sanctions relief in exchange for Iran halting its most sensitive nuclear activities, such as uranium enrichment beyond the limits set by the JCPOA. However, such an approach is fraught with challenges, requiring significant political will and flexibility from both sides, something that has been in short supply in recent years. Moreover, any attempt by the Biden administration to engage with Iran is likely to face stiff opposition from Republicans in Congress, as well as from regional allies such as Israel and Saudi Arabia, who view Iran as a malign actor in the region. As the world watches anxiously, the future of U.S.-Iran relations hangs in the balance. The stakes are high, not only for the two countries involved, but for regional stability and the global non-proliferation regime. Whether diplomacy can prevail over confrontation remains to be seen, but one thing is certain: the road ahead is paved with obstacles, and navigating it will require deft diplomacy, political courage, and a healthy dose of realism.